The views, opinions, and representations expressed on the Night Dreams Talk Radio Network and its website are those of the hosts, guests, and participants, and are not necessarily those of or endorsed by the network, its affiliated stations and broadcasts, the management, other hosts, or advertisers of the network. The shows found on the Night Dreams Talk Radio Network can, but do not necessarily promote any particular lifestyle, belief, religion, political affiliation, or other personal practice. These shows are for entertainment purposes only, and are not intended to treat, diagnose, and or claim any cure of disease or condition, or give any medical or legal advice.
You're listening to my friend Gary Anderson on Night Dreams Talk Radio, the best in paranormal radio.
Well, thank you, John Cleese. And I'll tell you what, you're still my favorite comedian, actor. And what can I say? Still about a foot of snow here at the compound, but hopefully the next day or two, it's going to be gone. Boy, but well, I'll tell you one thing, advantage for the last 2.5 weeks, I haven't had to go out and shovel from the horses. So that's been nice advantage of having a lot of snow. It covers up a lot of stuff. Well, anyway, we got a great guest tonight. We're going to be talking about UFOs, conspiracies, and disclosures with Olav Phillips right after this.
Please check out the Night Dreams Talk Radio website at www.nightdreamstalkradio.com. Also, if you want to keep our show free of advertising, just hit the donate button. Give $1 or $2. Remember, all prior shows are always free to listen to. We at Night Dreams Talk Radio thank you for your support.
Well, Mr. Olav Phillips, how you doing tonight, my friend?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Well, I'm doing better than I normally do, which is better than some days. How's that?
That sounds good. You know, it's day to day, man. The way the weather is, it's day to day.
Oh, yeah. I tell you, you guys are getting like, well, I wonder if you're going to have a water shortage. You know, my daughter lives in Hemet, California, and, you know, having kids, they like turning the water on when they're not home. And boy, did they get fined a couple of years ago, big time, from the city or whoever, the government. But, you know, I went and visited her like the very first time, and I went out in their backyard, and they had a lemon tree. And then they that's all they had. I was looking for grass, and they didn't even have any grass. It was all dirt.
You know, a lot of people here have been actually getting rid of their lawns. And I have 2 lawns in my front yard, right, that are separated by a the driveway. And I've been contemplating actually killing one of my lawns and putting in some sort of a rock thing. Because, yeah, the water, it's just, I don't think we're going to have a water shortage this go-round, but, you know, you never know. I mean, we had 1 year, it just literally did not rain.
Oh, yeah.
At all.
Well, you know, about 2 years ago, I went up to see my daughter up in Hemet, California, and I went the back way through Reno, then I hit Las Vegas, and then I slid in that way, and the weather was just absolutely beautiful. I spent like 2 days, in Hemet, California. I mean, 2 days, and I don't know if you know where Hemet, California is, but I tell you, it's not a place I really would not want to live. No offense to them. But we decided we were on our motorcycles, me and my 2 sons. And we decided, because one of my other sons got in an accident, he rides a motorcycle, and they thought he was going to die. So we freaked out, and, we rode virtually nonstop from Hemet, California, all the way back home. We did stop for a couple hours out of Bakersfield or some weird place like that. But you know what was interesting? When we hit Sacramento, it was non-stop pouring down rain till we all got back up to Gig Harbor, Washington. I'll tell you, I never want to ride a motorcycle that many miles in the pouring down rain ever again.
I can imagine. But we've had like last Sunday, we had like a torrential downpour of hail that went on and on and on. And it's like I was driving home last night and out out to my east, I could see like electrical storms. It wasn't raining or anything, but I could see these massive electrical storms just lighting up the sky.
Oh, wow.
It was crazy. Yeah. It's not usually like that here. I mean, it rains, but not like torrential downpours of hail. In fact, a couple times it actually snowed.
Well, you could have had my 2.5 feet of snow anytime. You could have had it.
Oh, no. It doesn't snow here.
I know it don't snow
Ever.
there. Well,
it snows every 7 years. I mean, it's not, yeah.
Well, with Earth changes, though, you might all of a sudden find like middle of June it's pouring down snow.
Yeah.
Of course, that's not
the weather machine. It's gone haywire.
It's not true, about, climate changes. It's all fake news.
Yeah, it's all fake news, right?
Yeah, Antarctica isn't melting.
No, not at all.
No, not at all.
The sea level certainly isn't rising, right?
No, yeah, I tell you one thing. If I owned property, honestly, in Florida, I'd be looking either one, selling it really quick to somebody who just stepped off the boat, or I would buy myself a houseboat and then I could anchor it where my house was.
I was looking at land the other day in Oregon just for fun, and there's somebody selling a 900-foot tall mountain. And I thought to myself, normally I'd be like, oh, a mountain? I don't know. But then I thought about it for a minute, and I'm like, maybe a mountain's a good idea.
Yeah, you could get a boat, and you know what? You could just anchor it there where you're top of the mountain, where you're where you build your house. There you go.
Yeah, put a couple zodiacs up on the top.
Yeah, I don't know. But I'll say this: it's really interesting. Going back about a year ago, they were saying, "Oh, it's about 100 years before we're going to see the effects from Earth, Earth changes and all that." Then all of a sudden, it was like 50 years.
No.
And then 40, and now the last I was reading, they were saying like 20 years or less, and people are going to start losing property.
Well, this all really started in the late 50s. So that's when they really found out about it, that there was a guy from Scripps that had done research into phytoplankton, and he discovered that the phytoplankton were processing the carbon dioxide at half the rate that they should have been. And I forget what his exact comment was, but it was like something to the effect of, we're under, and this is in like 1958, we are undertaking a massive experiment of which the likes we could not even imagine. And I mean, that's in 58. And so now we're in 2019.
Yeah.
We're seeing the effects of stuff that was done in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, when they had lead gasoline. In fact, I saw a very disturbing article the other day about a building that was part of, I guess it's part of the visitor center or something at the Grand Canyon.
Uh-huh.
And only now that they realize that room is incredibly radioactive. Because for like 30 years, from like the 50s through like the 70s, they literally stored buckets of plutonium or buckets of uranium, not like in sealed containers or even shock cases or anything else. No. Literally, they put uranium in buckets and then they stored it in this room. And then they cleared that crap out about 20 years ago and 30 years ago. And now, they use it as part of the visitor center. It's like everybody who goes in there gets like massively irradiated.
Oh.
It's like these things that we did in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, it's like they're coming home to roost now,
Well, you know what?
You should have Guy McPherson on. Guy McPherson, he'll tell you straight up. He's like, this is not, these climatic effects, climatological events, this is not something that you're going to see in 50 years or 100 years. He's like, you're facing the sixth extinction in like 10 years, 5 years. I mean, they named winter storms now. That's insane.
Well, you know what?
They name them.
Well, it's interesting. Up here where I live, not more than like 10 miles from where I live here, back a few months ago, we had a tornado. And it wasn't very big, but it tore off, a couple roofs of a couple buildings, did some damage to a couple businesses. But you know what? We've never had one here before in Washington, in this area. And all of a sudden it appeared and then it was gone, and it just like freaked everybody out. And weird things like this are going on. And just like Antarctica, I keep a track on that every day. I mean, some of these things are now melting so fast from like with underneath and working out like that the rate is going. You're in 2-3 years from now, we're going to have a serious problem. I don't understand why the government doesn't address it with the people. They need to know.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things that comes and goes with who's perceived to be in charge, right? That, you will have people who are Democrats or Republicans, who will say, okay, this is the regime that's in power. Yeah, there's a problem. We're going to work on it. And then you have another group that comes in and goes, oh, we don't believe in it. So now we're going to take everything that you've done for the last 8 years and erase it because we don't think it's true. And then, then somebody else will come in and go, no, it is true. And then they fire everything back up again. It goes up and down, up and down. It's like, we have to come to the realization that these things are true. There are plenty of Democrats, plenty of Republicans, plenty of libertarians, plenty of centrists, plenty of socialists, Marxists, whatever. There are plenty of people in general that think it's true. So, we should do some things that can't be undone so that at least we can try to make an impact. Because, when we have the peaceful exchange of power, which is the tradition of our republic, some of the sweeping power that's granted to those people, they erase the changes that have been made by successive generations of leadership, be it Democrat or Republican. It just takes one group to say, I don't like it, and then they stop everything, and I think that's wrong.
Well, how about gutting out the EPA was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen or heard of in my entire life. I
would agree with that.
I mean,
I'll tell you, once upon a time when I was a kid, younger, I was in a position where I witnessed certain tests, EPA mandated tests being run for stuff that they wanted to dump in various bodies of water. And they were mortality tests where they basically see the effects on various types of organisms. Let me tell you something. You don't want some of this stuff dumped in your river or your lake or your ocean or anything else. But the EPA was the one that mandated the tests and actually monitored them and required them to be done. So now some of those tests won't get done. And I'm here to tell you,